This is the CrestWave 1/3 horsepower submersible pool cover pump. Let's take it out of the box. In the box you get the pump, a base for it which will help to kind of filter out leaves and stuff like that, the instruction manual, of course, user manual, a lanyard that you can tie to the handle on it, and that way you can pull it out a lot easier instead of using the cord like everybody else will do. And they give you two adapters. This goes to the pump end right there. There is a rubber O-ring on that, and that's your standard US garden hose thread. Regular garden hose will fit right on that, or this goes on the pump and you can put a hose of your choosing on there with a clamp. It's barbed and all that. Let me tell you a little bit about it first, and then of course we'll put it together and test it out. This will do 2,100 gallons per hour. That's about 35 gallons per minute. It's got a 25-foot cord, and it's IPX8 waterproof. It's submersible. Hello. So that's perfectly fine with that. It's got a copper motor in it. It automatically shuts off at 2/5 of an inch. That's about 1 centimeter of standing water. At that point it'll shut off, and there is, by the way, about a 60-second delay once it hits that before it will actually shut off. And you can leave it there because it'll automatically turn on when there are 2 inches of water, and it'll just work as, you know, kind of automatic. If you could stand it up and just leave it there like that, it'll just suck the water out when it needs to and stop when it's done. So that's kind of nice right there. The maximum head is 26.3 feet. What that means is, typically if you're going to have this in a pool, the hose has to go at least up over the edge, and you're not going 26 feet up, but it can pump to a hose that is going 26.3 feet in the air. Let me show you how it goes together. So very simply, we're going to be using the garden hose with this today. So we just screw that in. You want to make that tight. Screw that all the way in like that. You really shouldn't need a wrench, but it does have provisions for that. Just a snug. No more than that, because it's plastic, so you don't want to break it. The base here has this kind of cutout, and you'll see any which way you try to fit the pump, it only is going to fit in the right place like that. So we just have to get that all lined up, and it snaps in just like that. You have to get the back end in first, and then the pump is in there, and it's all one unit. Now you attach your hose. Now I don't have a pool cover because it's still pool season, so it's kind of hard to demonstrate that, but I have something else that will pretty much emulate that. You can see that I have placed the pump on the floor here, and the hose is connected. It's just screwing a garden hose on, nothing special there. So let's give it a shot. Here's the end of the hose, ready to go. Plug. Let's go ahead and plug it in. Needs to fill the hose, so you got to wait a minute. It's coming. Not bad. That's pumping water out pretty good. That is moving. That is really moving. I'm impressed. My city water pressure is about 1/4 of that. That's pretty good. That is moving just very, very nicely. So that should pump out nice and quick. But like I said, I have another test. Does this look like your pool in the early spring when you go to open it? Mine does. It's even got leaves. All kinds of great stuff. So we're going to pump out this garbage can. I'll pump it into the one next to it. That way I can pump that out later and give it more of a test. But we know the auto on works because we plugged it in before and it pumped and it was pretty good. So let's see if the shutoff works when it gets to the bottom. Remember, like I said, it has about a 1-minute delay. It just started, and there we go. See if I get that hose in there so it stays. And I'll tell you, that water is going down pretty quickly. Really can't complain about that. That's not bad. This is at least a 40-gallon can. I'm not sure exactly how big, but it's at least a 40-gallon. And let's see how it does. So it's happily pumping away. Okay, we're coming down to the wire now. And now it should take about a minute or so before it's going to shut off. And there we go. Not bad. Now, it can't get everything. It's not supposed to. Like I said, it goes down to 2/5 of an inch, or about a centimeter, and I don't have the pump centered on the middle part, which is raised in the can. But otherwise, it did exactly what it was supposed to. Nice fast pumping. Definitely a fan of that. So once again, this was the CrestWave 1/3 horsepower submersible pool cover pump. If you'd like to purchase this item, I'll leave a link in the video description where you can find the item available for sale on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Let's see that auto shut off again. Excellent.